back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, so yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing alright.
Jolly good.
Yeah, like I said, a few medical issues at the moment, but we're getting there. So it's all good. I have watched a couple of things. One of them, funnily enough, you've also watched and almost completely forgot about as well. So that's interesting.
I certainly forgot the title.
Yeah, well, I forgot most of it, to be honest. Most of the movie has kind of been erased from my mind already. I did watch it. I watched it when it came out, so it was like 2 weeks ago now. But
has it really been out for
2 weeks? 2 weeks, maybe it was last week.
Okay.
But yeah. In any case, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Where should we start? Should we do Kombat first?
Kombat, yeah, go for it.
Let's do Mortal Kombat.
We'll do our
and we can
spoilerish review.
Spoil the hell out of it.
Of
now
Mortal Kombat.
It's been a while.
Why not?
And I've seen it, and you saw it previously.
So let's get your thoughts first.
So, well, I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, it's an annoying movie more than anything else because it's one of those movies where you can see the good stuff like gleaming through. You know what I mean? It's like there's the fight scenes are really good.
They're amazing. That's the one thing I will say, that the fight scenes are absolutely fantastic in this movie.
The main character is terrible.
I'm glad you agree. Cole is the most forgettable, pointless character. As I said to you, I think Sonya should have been the character we followed.
I completely agree with that.
Don't know why Cole was even in it.
Sonya would have been a much better character to follow because it even starts with her not being one of the chosen.
That was a much more interesting story, wasn't it? She's the one that wasn't chosen, and by the end of the film, she's earned her mark. She's become one of the chosen. She starts off literally as one of us, and then gains the mark. That was a far more interesting story than Cole's story, who just, for my mind, just kind of sucks at fighting.
Because it's really funny that like he sucks so well. Well, no, we should say he doesn't really suck at fighting. It's just that he used to be good and now he's not. He's kind of lost his edge somewhere along the line.
Yeah, but like, I don't want that.
Now he's like getting his ass kicked at every like turn. And there was the stuff with his daughter which I thought was actually quite nice. But then it was like it felt a little forced, you know. It felt like it made me think of what's that one with bloody Hugh Jackman with the robot?
The one with Hugh Jackman
and with his son. Real Steel. That's the one. It was. I mean, it's totally nothing like that. But it was just that the sort of father-son thing and the daughter.
I see your thing. I see your point.
You know what I mean? Yep. Not nothing to do with the actual film itself. Just that sort of little thing. It just made me think of the way that the kid their relationship was.
Yeah.
And they had a better relationship, obviously, because like you know she was around. She's been around her father all the time, but it was just sort of like, oh, okay, this feels a little bit weird and a little bit sort of forced.
Yeah, definitely.
And he sort of when he gets his power basically because he's getting the shit beat out of him. It's like, oh, your power is a defense mechanism because you're shit, right? Okay.
Basically, yeah, because his and that was the other thing as well. I thought his powers were rubbish when they finally. So I guess to kind of explain, so they all have a mark, and if you have the mark, then you can gain basically superpowers at some point through stress or anger or
training through some sort of like trauma maybe
or trauma
like,
and
just kick it off.
And those powers like range from everything. I mean, everything you see in Mortal Kombat, even down to like Jax's arms are as a result of his power. So it just kind of manifests, I guess, wherever you need it or whatever you need. So in Cole's case, because he was defensive, he gets his armor, but I thought his powers were rubbish. I hated it. It looked rubbish. He barely used it as well. I was really confused. I was like, is he meant to be gaining, like, is it like he absorbs the power from the enemy and then gives it back to them?
I think it was one of those it was an absorption reflect thing, wasn't it? Because I think he manifested those like tonfas, didn't he? So he gets these sort of tonfas that he sort of manifested, which were kind of cool. I mean, the thing is he looked. You know, no disrespect to Lewis Tan, because he kind of looked
cool,
and he can certainly handle himself. That was not the issue.
No.
It was just his character was terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not necessarily the actor's fault, and I mean maybe
No.
I was a bit harsh last time because I've rewatched it. So I rewatched it today before we did this because I knew you were going to see it, and I thought, well, we can do some spoilery things here, and we can kind of talk a bit more in depth. And I think I said in the last one, he's just got no charisma, and I didn't care about him. I don't think that's the actor's fault. I think
no, I don't think it is. I think they didn't actually know what to do with him.
No.
They obviously wanted the everyman character, which, like you just said, would have made much more sense to make it Sonya.
I think so.
And follow Sonya, but they wanted this sort of family man character.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's kind of a good idea, but it's not really what you want to see in Mortal Kombat, is it? It's not.
No.
I mean, the funniest thing for me is the fact that with all the fucking characters you've got in Mortal Kombat, that they just keep adding to.
Yeah, I mean, the roster's huge at this point. Absolutely
why
huge.
would you want to make a completely new one?
I don't know. It's a bizarre choice, isn't it? There are so many characters.
You could tweak any of them.
You could have done it with Johnny Cage. You could have done Johnny Cage is in Hollywood. They come to, which is basically the second movie now. Spoilers. That looks like, well, that's going to be. But they could have, you could have done it with Johnny Cage, who is, arrogant and confident and full of himself, and he gets taken down a peg, and he has to learn, actually,
exactly. That would have been, a much more interesting thing to do with his character than just, and and like you just said, that is another thing that fucking annoys me as well. This movie is a setup movie.
It's nothing but a setup movie,
and I hate it when they do that.
I agree.
They do that with another movie that we're going to talk about in a bit.
Yeah, it's nothing but a setup movie. For me, I wanted Mortal Kombat to have the Mortal Kombat tournament in it. That was one of the biggest issues for me, and I'm watching it a second time.
For the first movie, yeah.
Watching it a second time, that still bothered me. It still really bothered me. I pinpointed for me, rewatching it a second time, I don't know about you, I found the movie fun and engaging, and then it all went to shit when they got to Raiden's place.
Yeah, it's
the
like,
movie dies there.
Let's hang around and eat food and like very bad training montages. It's like,
and
they could have done something really dynamic and
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it helped that it was such a drab, like, bunch of caves.
Yes, it didn't look in any way like I wanted, like, awe-inspiring,
Yeah, I mean, I get that they're supposed to be hiding out,
sure.
But the idea was that this is supposed to be this ancient temple, and you've got like certain bits that were quite nice. When they come through this bit, and there's like all those like murals on display and things.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, that's kind of cool. And then it's just like, oh, where are we now? Oh, in a cave. Oh, okay. And where are we now? Oh, we're in another cave. And it's just like, oh, this is so. It's like, come on, do something for fuck's sake. One thing I will definitely say though is, fucking Josh Lawson as Kano
steals the show, right?
Absolutely amazing.
He absolutely steals the show. Brilliant.
And the funniest thing is, I think I've seen him in a few other things, but nothing like memorable except for one role. He played. He was in the series Superstore, and he plays this slimy chemist guy. He's at the chemist counter.
Okay.
And he's a real prick. And he's really funny. He was not one of the main cast, but he's one of those like ones that pops up quite a lot. Yeah. And he's a real prick in it, and he was really funny in that. So it's like I know he's funny, but he was really, really funny in this.
He was
and
incredible.
Kano's one of those characters that could be so like annoying and you just want him to like leave as soon as he turns up. But he completely played him amazingly. It was like as soon as he turns up like all chained up and stuff, and he's like it all worked, and he played off Sonya really well. He
often said things that I was thinking as well about the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of his performance was ad-libbed, but honestly, he stole the show for me. Completely stole the show. Kano was amazing.
He really was. It was absolutely fantastic. And I mean, Liu Kang and Kang Lao.
I thought they looked great.
But again, weren't they boring?
Yes.
They had no personality.
They looked the part. They didn't really have the personality. Kung Lao kind of come across really cocky, which is kind of Kung Lao's character anyway. So that kind of worked. But yeah, there was just something missing. I can't really put my finger on exactly what it was with those two.
And Joe Taslim and obviously Hiroyuki Sanada.
Of course.
I mean,
fantastic.
Well, every time they're in the room, they're like, oh well, there's your focus right there. Those two are fucking amazing. I mean, from what I read, Joe Taslim, who was in like the Raid and stuff like that, and he's also in The Warrior, that sort of.
Oh, I've not seen
TV
that.
series.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a really good series. I really enjoy it. He's like this bodyguard in that, and he's really good. From what I read, the director had to keep telling him to slow down because the camera couldn't catch what he was doing. which I love that. That's fantastic. But yeah, those two are great. Like the Sub-Zero and
Scorpion.
Scorpion were brilliant. I mean, they I guess they really didn't want to. There's so much focus on those in other things that I guess they didn't want to focus too much on, especially Scorpion, because he's only in it like really twice, isn't he?
He is, and I don't know. I could be totally wrong here, but watching it today for this podcast, I felt like I wondered whether they originally filmed this and planned for Cole to become Scorpion. So he has he has his powers, and he kind of channels him, and his abilities make him into Scorpion, and he becomes Scorpion. Because there's a few hints at it during the movie where you're like, oh, is he going to end up being Scorpion? Like the descendant of him, he becomes Scorpion.
He even gives him the kunai, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He gives him the kunai, and
which
says,
for some reason he was using for potting plants and.
Stuff. Apparently it is an agricultural.
Oh, it is.
It started off as an agricultural tool. Yeah, I think so.
Well, that makes sense. But it struck me as almost like they'd gone with the plan that Cole was going to end up being Scorpion, and then somewhere along the line, they were like, "No, we should get Hiroki to do the whole thing because he was in the start and he was amazing." They were like, "We should just get him to do the whole thing," and then they backed off and they were like, "Oh, but now we need to give Cole something, so I guess he'll just have." This power, and they just kind of shot a scene where they just add him with some armor stuff. I don't know.
That would make sense because it does.
It feels like that. He feels like a massive afterthought, and it's weird that your main character is an afterthought.
Yeah, it really is. If that is the case, it's like, oh, okay.
It feels like it. I don't know. I could be wrong. But as you said, it's not all bad. The fight scenes are superb. That opening is really strong. I loved that opening.
Lord Raiden was okay.
Yes, he's fine. He's fine.
I mean, he's it's another great actor. Tadanobu Asano, who's again been in some really good stuff. And I wasn't quite sure about Chin-Hannes Shang-Tsung. I'm not.
I think I've seen him in like too many comedic roles at times to take him very seriously in this role.
Maybe I
don't know. It wasn't. I just didn't find him very intimidating.
No,
and I feel like he needs to be. That character needs to be really intimidating and really, creepy.
Yeah, at times it almost felt like he was like doing all this. I mean that's another problem with the story is the whole idea that he's cheating because he doesn't want the tournament. It's like you've already won 9 tournaments.
Yes, that's the thing. They literally say, and he says, "Oh, we won through being unfair," but it's like that's fine. But you did win 9 straight tournaments, and now you're like, there won't be a 10th tournament. Because we'll just win by killing everyone before the tournament. And it's like, well, okay, but then that instantly introduces the plot hole of like, well, then why isn't Raiden getting involved? Because they've broken the rules. And I know they're like, oh, well, nothing says about, there's no rules to say that we can't just kill people before the combat starts. It's like, yeah, okay. But then surely at that point, Raiden has like carte blanche to do what he wants, and the whole thing falls apart. The whole point of it was this uneasy agreement between the Elder Gods and the different realms to say, right, okay, you have this combat, and if you win 10 straight in a row, then you can invade. If not, you can't. and that's the rules. And I always assumed, if not, the elder gods will get involved and will screw you up.
Yeah, and I think at times he just came across as really desperate.
Yes, he came across as needlessly desperate, because let's be honest, if they did the tournament and it was a one-on-one, nobody is beating Sub-Zero. Like in this movie, Sub-Zero is so overpowered. Like, there's none of those fighters would have won. So he might as well have just done the tournament with Sub-Zero, and they would have won.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
I think he certainly made it worse, because like he made it worse by like, okay, so he did get rid of one of the some of the fighters, but he made it worse because he sort of he powered up one and made a completely new fighter. So you're like, well, you just made it worse for yourself now. If you'd have just done the tournament with the existing warriors they had, they'd have been fucked.
And that brings up questions as well, because they were like, they meet Liu Kang in the desert, and Liu Kang's like, he informs them, he's like, oh, we've only got 1 moon to train you before the tournament. And it's like, why didn't you find him like a year ago? Why have you waited until like a month before the tournament? And they found you. You didn't do anything. He was like, oh, we've been trying to seek you out, and we found Jax, but it was too late. And it's like, well, why did you leave it so late to try and find these people? Like, you're literally leaving it like a month before the tournament to train them and hope they get their powers.
And Sonya and Jax's base has got like a big old wall full of
everything,
like all of their stuff that they've been.
Yeah, they know everything except where Lord Raiden is.
And it's like, well, if that's the case, then why the fuck, didn't someone come out? Why did they find them beforehand? Like you just said, it's like they already knew all the stuff, so why don't you just go and find them?
Yes, and at the end of the movie, Lord Raiden literally says to them, "I'm going to create a load of new people with marks, you have to go find them." And it's like, well, why don't you just tell them who they are, and like, why don't you just tell them where to go if you want this fight to happen? It's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, you're creating them.
I'm gonna purposely make it hard for my team.
I'm gonna purposely I'm gonna
even knowing that the bad guys have been cheating their asses off, I'm purposely making it harder for my team to go and find other people.
Yeah, I mean that moment where he turns around and he's like, oh well, I can't get involved. If I was any one of those characters, I would have turned around and been like, bullshit, did you just see what Shang Tsung's just done? Like, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
And then later in the movie it gets even worse, because
from what I gather, he's like, should he even, like, he keeps teleporting there.
I know.
And you're like, should he even be allowed to do that?
Well, that's the thing. Like... And then later on, they're like, can you teleport anyone anywhere? And he's like, yep. And it's like, well, why didn't you just teleport them all there 3 months ago and have them all train? Like, problem solved. Or later on, they like he teleports them away to safety, and they're like, where are we? And they're in this white world, and he's like, oh, we're in the void. It's like between realms, and Shang Tsung can't get us here. He's like, well, why don't you train them all there?
Yeah.
Thus eliminating this problem altogether.
Why didn't you have your base there then?
Yeah, and teleport everyone there. It's so weird. I don't know why they just didn't go with the tournament. The tournament's happening. People are going to the island or wherever, and they're doing the tournament held on Earth. We're following Sonya because the fight's perfect. The characters look great. I think the cast is fine for each character. I don't have a problem with any of the casting, apart from Cabal, who I thought was fucking terrible.
Oh, really? I thought Cabal was alright.
I thought he looked great, but the bloody voice.
Did you not like the voice?
Oh my god!
Oh, I thought the voice was okay.
I didn't mind that.
It kind of sounded like how I remember Cabal sounding.
Yeah, maybe it's just me. I don't know. I wasn't keen on it.
I mean, even like the one that did make me laugh, actually, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
What?
Which was in a sort of moment that reminded me of oh god, what was he called? No, what's his name? Was it Slipknot or something? In
The Suicide Squad.
In the Suicide Squad, when they goes, this is like they're introducing all the characters sort of thing, and he's like, oh, this is Slipknot. He can climb up walls and shit, and then he dies, and Shang Tsung does that with that one with the woman with the wings, who's a character I don't know. She must be in a game that I haven't played, and he says this, oh, isn't she beautiful? Isn't she fantastic? Whack, dead, cut in half. It's like, oh, Oh right, okay. She didn't even do anything.
No.
She sort of flies around like hiding. You're like, ooh, where's she gonna be? Where's she gonna be? Oh, Kung Lao just cut her in half. Right, okay, fine.
Without even a fight. It wasn't even a battle.
No.
And then later on, the same thing happens with Melina. She's fighting Kung Lao, and then Sonya just turns up and shoots her once, and she's dead.
And that's
Gone.
it, gone.
And it was like, okay, so Sonya's pretty overpowered now then. She just literally blasted a hole in someone with one shot.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the thing is you'd have thought she would... She went from, like, being... like the normal human, who was already sort of like actually pretty kick-ass.
And this is the other thing.
She was totally kick-ass.
That's the other thing that annoyed me is I thought that, I guess in Cole's case maybe you could argue, oh, well, it was inherited, but it's like they're meant to be the best fighters on earth, and yet Cole's losing all the time. And I'm like, why does he even have the mark? Because surely if someone's beating him in the MMA cage, do they not get his mark? I guess they have to kill him, but it's like...
Yeah. There can be only one thing,
yeah.
I presume you have to actually,
But then it raises questions. It's like if I'm driving...
Sonya gets the mark, and her power, she's immediately powered up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if
I mean, maybe that is the case. Maybe it's literally a case of, okay, well, she's already, proved that she can do it, so here, she's powered up. But like you said, it was like, she turns up, pow, pow, pow.
But that's the other thing. It's like they make this emphasis on them having to train, but then Sonya literally gets her powers, and then 5 seconds later she's teleported in, fully trained, knows exactly what she's doing. It's like, oh wow, that's amazing. But then and also the question around this mark thing, and I don't mind it, but it's like you instantly think like, well, what if I was working on my roof and then a piece of the tiles, I dropped a brick by accident and it killed the guy beneath me and they had the mark? Do I just get the mark? Like if I drive a car into someone and they had the mark, do I get the mark then?
I mean,
I haven't fought them, but they're dead. Like,
yes, so
yeah,
because you, I mean,
I didn't mind it. That's a nitpick because I didn't mind.
If it's like that, if it's like Highlander, then yes,
I didn't mind it. I kind of like that that aspect of it, in that I liked this Sonya story.
It was a pretty neat idea. It was it sort of it gave the I suppose it gave the idea that there are chosen people, and it's not just like anybody can't just do it.
Yes,
I suppose it gave it did give it that sort of thing, which I didn't mind any of that. I thought that was okay. Really, it was like that is quite funny. The idea of I just accidentally killed this guy. What's this mark on me now?
Yeah. And Raiden sending him back to his family.
I watched that movie. I totally watched that.
Where people accidentally kill someone and get the mark, and like, what? Why is this?
I guess it would be something like was it the Tuxedo or something? Wouldn't it though? I suppose so. I don't know.
And then like Raiden sending Cole away back to his family. It's like, what the fuck, dude? And then later Raiden's like, oh, thank you for getting my fighter to gain his powers by sending Goro after him. Yeah. It's like he could have like literally killed his entire family and him. That was a really dumb move on Raiden's part. Like,
I mean, it is. I suppose it is the sort of the old. Well, we're already fucked. It is, I guess. Sure. Like, kill or cure, isn't it? It was literally like, well, if he don't fucking get his powers after getting a pounding from fucking Goro, then he's never gonna get them.
There's a really weird edit as well when Kano shoots the statue hand and it falls down onto Sonya, and then Jax is there with his small arms, and he's like, "Oh my god, Sonya!" And he's trying to pull this thing off, and then he picks it up, and she's fine. And it's like, "What the fuck? How did that? What happened? Like, I don't even understand."
No, I didn't. That was a very odd thing. It's what I didn't understand about that as well is it's like he cut the hand down, and it's like, why didn't he finish up? Why did he just leave them?
Yeah. He's like, no, I'll just walk away now and let them live.
Do you think they were dead?
Yeah. It's
bizarre. What made me laugh about actually is when you said about he had small hands, I was totally waiting for him to have T-Rex hands. when he said, so I was like, oh, he hasn't got. I was waiting for the little hands. My brain said
they're like thin,
proper T-Rex hands. Yeah, but again, that raises questions as well. So Jax gets his arms cut off. He's taken to the temple where these monks basically give him standard bionic arms.
Yeah.
Did they do that because they knew that was going to be part of the power?
I know. I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming that the power somehow just gives you what you need. You know, or I don't know. And maybe they were just I don't know. I really don't know. The logic is out the window there with that one. It would have made more sense to me if it was just like, well, we've taken Jax to a different realm and he's gained this. We've someone's built these arms for him.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense to me. Or like in Mortal Kombat 1, he loses the arms after Mortal Kombat, right? So you could have had him just have the arms, normal arms in this one, lose them in this one, and then in Mortal Kombat 2, you can give him the metal arms like he did have in Mortal Kombat 2 and just explain that they built them for him. I don't know.
And I did think it was... Actually, Kano's eye was a weird one as well, because it wasn't bionic, was it?
Yeah. It's...
Because Kano, in the games, it fires laser because it's a bionic eye,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
metal around his eye and everything.
Yeah.
But it's not here. It's just like some kind of power he gains.
Yeah.
It's odd.
I mean, again, it sounds like we're pounding this to
but
the
this
ground,
is what I did last time we talked about it.
There was a lot of really good stuff in it. I mean, I like most of the CG was really good.
Yes, I agree. It
Goro,
good.
Goro was good. I like Lizard. I thought Lizard was really cool.
Yeah, Reptile. I always preferred...
Reptile.
I wanted to see him in his ninja outfit for a bit, though. Because I like him in the ninja outfit. But then I guess they do look very similar, because obviously it's only a palette swap of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. But
yeah,
I would have liked to have seen that. But yeah, I liked it. It was a cool sequence. I really liked Kano. Kano killing him was fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, Kano totally stole the show.
Any scene he's in, and even scenes when it's like he says stuff in the background, like when Sonya's explaining to Cole, she's like, "I don't have the mark," and you just hear him and Kano in the background, like, "Nah." It's fucking fantastic. I would watch a movie about Kano. He's great.
And I mean, what I thought was funny was as well as so I was watching. So Jax, I was sat there thinking, well, I know this dude. Where the hell do I know this dude from?
But I didn't actually check where he's from.
He's Jimmy Olsen from the Supergirl show.
Oh.
So it's like, wow. I think he's. I mean, because he was already pretty buff in that, because he became Guardian.
Right.
But I'm sure his voice has got deeper and he looks way more buff.
Oh.
I thought he was okay as well. I thought he was. I think they underserved him a little in places, but he got some really nice little moments. The actual little fight, I mean, we'd always seen the clips from that. The fight scene where he gets his arms taken off. That was quite a nice little thing. Mm. There was some really, I mean, that's said the fight scenes completely hold up the movie.
For sure.
If the fight scenes were bad, this movie deserved to just be buried.
Yes, it wouldn't have worked at all if it wasn't for the fight scenes. The fight scenes, to their credit, as you said, they're well executed. They look great.
Mm.
The fight scenes are good.
So it's, I mean, I would say it's worth a watch.
It's funny. It's funny actually. It's kind of reassuring because you've done exactly what I did when I reviewed it, which was I felt like I rambled because all I did was say negatives, but then at the end I was like, but it is quite good, and it's like it is. It's got its moments, and I do think a sequel done right could be great.
Yeah.
Get rid of Cole though.
Yeah, because there's no fucking about. I think you could just sort of get on with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna put Johnny Cage in, I guess you're gonna need a bit of Johnny Cage sort of stuff. But I think the problem you have there is if you're going to introduce Johnny Cage, he's again going to upstage Cole, surely.
Cole shouldn't even be in the sequel. They should just kill him off screen or something. Like, I just feel like he becomes Scorpion. Like, that's the only way I would accept Cole at this point.
Yeah.
He just...
Yeah, I mean, that would be fine.
Like, he just gains the powers of Scorpion, and then he basically is just Scorpion from then on. We don't need him talking. We don't need him saying much other than get over here and stuff.
No.
It just...
I did... That was the other... That was one of the... that was another funny thing that I thought... It works because it's Mortal Kombat, but Hiroyuki Sanada is a 17th century guy.
Yeah.
Who speaks Japanese.
Cole just knows Japanese now. It's fine.
And then what I thought was funny is when he says "get over here." It's like, okay, because it's Scorpion's line.
I think it would have been fine.
Everything else he says is in Japanese.
I think it would have been fine if he said it in Japanese and it was just subtitled. I would have been totally fine with that. Absolutely fine. It's weird he says "get over here" in English, everything else in Japanese, including when he's talking to Cole. But Cole somehow just knows Japanese, I guess. Luckily.
Yeah, maybe that's what the mark does.
Yeah,
like a universal translator.
maybe. Well, no, it's not, because Scorpion can't understand Sub-Zero at the start of the movie. He's like, I don't know what you're saying, because he's speaking in Chinese.
He is, yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it sounds like we're shitting on it, and we kind of are. It's a half good movie. Half of it's really fun.
It's not a great movie. It's not a great movie. It's
trash.
Yeah,
but it's enjoyable in places for sure.
It's not original.
No.
Mortal Kombat trash.
No,
it's not stupidly over the top enjoyable.
Which
trash.
is why I said last time I think I still prefer the '90s one, just because I have more fun when I watch it. I think. To be honest,
I think I kind of do as well.
I'm not saying it's a better movie. I'm just saying I think I enjoy it more.
And I don't think it is. And I don't think the fights are anywhere near as good.
No, but stop motion Goro, I've got a lot more time for that.
Yeah, and
Christopher Lambert in the most miscast role ever,
having an absolute ball.
Yeah.
And what's his? I always the guy who played Shang Tsung in the original.
Oh, he's incredible. I forget his name.
Hiroyuki Tagawa.
He is amazing.
Oh my god, he is again. I mean, he's in most of his roles.
He chews scenery. That's what he does.
Fun. And he is totally like full on over the top in that movie. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And I mean, Robin Shou, I think, is slightly more charismatic than Cole is.
Yeah.
The actor playing only in the. I mean, not saying because I've only the actor who plays Cole.
I don't think I've seen him in anything.
You would have seen him in Deadpool 2.
Oh, okay. I don't really remember much of Deadpool.
He played Shatterstar in Deadpool 2, so he was in the movie for like 5 minutes.
Okay, I don't even remember him being in it. But
he's one of the X Factor that gets killed.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's. I've seen a bit of War Assassins, so I must have seen him in that, and I've seen a bit of Into the Badlands, so I must have seen him in that as well. But I don't remember terribly. Oh, he apparently was in Iron Fist as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, and he was in a previous Mortal Kombat movie.
Was he? Oh, was he in the
Mortal Kombat X Generations?
Is that the YouTube series?
Kung Jin. Maybe it is. I have not seen that.
I remember there's a YouTube. They did a bunch of YouTube shorts. That's got Jerry Ryan in it.
The web series serves as a tie-in prequel to the video game Mortal Kombat 10.
Oh no, I think it might be a different thing. I think it might be different. So there was a YouTube series they did with Jerry Ryan playing Sonya, and it's quite good actually. They did a really good job kind of with that. But I guess he was in just the actual movie, the tie-in for the game. But yeah, fair enough.
Well, this one's got Ray Park in it, and Gary Daniels, so it's got a few people in it. Oh, and Tagawa's is Shang Tsung in it.
Yeah, he
Casper Van Dien.
Nice. My God, Casper Van Dien. That's someone you don't see much of.
So there you go. So yeah, he did a previously appear in another. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the actor.
No, I think it's what he was given.
It's totally the writing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's the writing.
So I think overall, I would say,
it's worth
if you
want to, for sure.
It's fun enough. I mean, it's fun mostly just for Kano.
Just for Kano and the fights.
Just for Kano and the fights. Yeah,
I agree.
It's great. And I thought the actress who played Sonya.
I thought she was great. I really liked her.
She's another actress I've only seen in a few. She was apparently in The Meg.
Oh God. Okay.
So yeah, I have seen her in other things, but I thought she was great as Sonya.
Yeah, I really liked her. Thought she was fine.
There was one point where I thought,
well, like I said, I think the movie should have
becoming annoying, and then she totally sort of leveled it out, and it was okay. She went with the silliness.
Yes.
And I thought at one point she was in danger of becoming all drama and like bad at soap acting.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she just sort of went, no, I get it now, and it was okay. It was fine.
I was really confused when she Cole goes to meet her at the start. And she like takes him out and takes him down to the ground, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I've got the mark, and I was sent by Jax." And it's like, "Okay, cool. Come into my secret base." And then they go into her secret base, and there's pictures of Cole all over the wall with Cole and his name written everywhere. And it's like, so how did you not know who that was?
Yeah.
But no,
at least the birthmark comment was put in the right order in the movie.
Yes, it was better in the movie. Yeah, given that. But yeah, so overall, it is worth a watch, like you said.
Yeah. There is a lot to like about it. There really is.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not the greatest movie ever, but I mean, considering what's out right now,
absolutely. It's slim pickings, and it is very entertaining, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's a pretty well. I mean, it's not bad directed either.
No,
considering.
No, certainly the fight choreography is great.
Some sort of odd choices, and I think, like you said, there's a few cuts that felt a bit odd.
Well, like I said, Shang Tsung just suddenly losing his voice. The effect they put on his voice for like a line was weird. It's like weird things like that kind of make me think, did they kind of rush this out in the end, or what? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not terrible. Let's leave it at that. It's worth a watch. So Matt, what else have you been watching?
So let's go with let's go with Invincible then.
Invincible, yes. So I have watched one episode of Invincible.
Okay.
And I thought it looked okay. I don't think it looked terrible. I just haven't got round to watching the rest. So I'm curious, because you've watched all of it now, right?
Yes, I have indeed watched all of it. So I have not read the graphics that it was based on.
No.
But the basic premise is in a world of superheroes, our main character, Mark Grayson, he is the son of
it's kind of that world Superman, isn't it? Really,
it's that world Superman. Yeah, I forget what he's bloody called. Is it the Utopian? Utopian, I think he's called.
Right.
Or is that? Or am I getting that mixed up with Jupiter's Legacy?
Well, this is the problem, right? Because I saw Invincible come out. I was like, oh, it's animated. It's kind of doing sort of The Boys, but not as a comedy, more of a it's just like the real consequences if you had these superpowers and all that kind of stuff, and not holding back.
Yeah.
And then Jupiter's Legacy came out, and I was like, God, it's just another one. It's like live action, but it looks like the same goddamn thing. So like Jupiter's Legacy, I couldn't even be bothered to watch one episode of, because I was like, it feels like it's getting tired very fast, this superhero commentary thing.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So,
but yeah, anyway, so Invincible.
He's not Utopian. Utopian was from the other one. Anyway, he's the Superman guy. Let's say so. So he hasn't got his powers yet.
No.
So his mum's just is a normal human, and basically you've got your Justice League equivalent and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of you've got the sort of the teen sort of angle of being at school, him being not exactly bullied, but he stands up for this girl with this jock and kind of gets his ass handed to him. But then he gets his powers, and something happens with the Superman guy that you spend the rest of the series, most of the season, going, well, what the fuck happened there? Is he being controlled, or is there a reason why he's done that?
Right.
So I don't really want to spoil it, but there's something that he does, and of course we should say, he voiced by J.K. Simmons, who
always great.
The voice cast in this is great. So Stephen Ewan, who plays Mark in this, he was in The Walking Dead. He plays Glenn in The Walking Dead.
Okay, yeah, I like him.
Sandra Oh is his mum, and she is, the mother character could so easily be like the most annoying character.
Sure.
But Sandra Oh gives it her real pathos and real it's a top notch voice cast. Zazie Beetz is Amber. You've got there's these villains called the Molar Twins.
Right.
And they're not really twins. They're actually one's a clone of the other, and they start when you first get them. They seem to be these fucking idiots. They're sort of almost invulnerable idiots.
Okay.
Right. But
they're in the first episode actually. Yes.
Yeah, they are in the first episodes. And they're voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. And when through the course of the series, they are absolutely fantastic.
Right.
You get real. There is just great. Walton Goggins is this of the.
Now we're both big fans of Goggins, right? I believe.
Yeah, he plays the head of this sort of the he's kind of like the sort of CIA sort of secret organization that kind of keeps its eye on all the soups sort of thing. And oh my god, is this series bloody.
The first episode was
it's,
pretty gory, so I can only imagine how much that progresses.
Yeah, it's full on sort of boys Man of Steel destruction.
Sure.
You know, like he gets hit through buildings and shit, and people get taken out, and he tries to help sort of people with their guts hanging out and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, but overall, I think it actually it certainly grabbed it kept my attention. The mystery of what's going on with this. Because like the Superman guy, he's from this race of superior beings,
and he
says where he's from, all of his people are like him.
But his son's half.
Yes,
it's like half quote unquote Kryptonian and half human, right?
Yeah. And he's kind of been waiting for his son to get his powers, and it almost looks like he's been dreading, him getting his powers for some reason. When he gets his powers, he kind of looks disappointed. And
so it's like his dad's dreading him getting powers, but the son feels like a failure because he hasn't got his powers. That's what I got from the first episode, anyway.
Mm-hmm. And again, it could be it could easily run into, oh my god, it's an annoying character that's like whining about not doing enough. But there is enough stuff in it that stops it being that. There's some really lovely little like progression throughout the episodes, and there are some really good ones where he takes this he does this job with like a Luke Cage type character, and the consequences and fallout of that episode are like, whoa, that's fuck, okay.
So real consequences for what's going on here.
There's real sort of consequences. There's real sort of like sort of danger of completely losing like everyone. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. I would really recommend it. It's not as good as The Boys, even though season 2 of The Boys, had some serious.
I enjoyed season 2 overall, though.
Moments. Yeah, that's what I said. Overall, it was really good. So I don't think it's as good as The Boys. Sometimes the animation is there's a lot of characters stood around not moving,
right,
while they're having conversations. Yeah. So it's obviously not the most expensive animation, but it does work for what they're doing.
Okay. And
it does the right thing when it needs to. Zachary Quinto's great as this sort of robot guy. There's a really sort of weird. There's a really odd thing that you find out about the robot, later on, and he uses. When you see what happens, it's like, oh, that's questionable, but kind of sweet.
Okay.
It's questionable but sweet. And there's sort of like even the annoying characters. Like there was one. What is his name? It's like Dynamite Boom Guy, or what the fuck he's called. Rexplode.
That's a fantastic name.
Rexplode, yeah. And he's voiced by Jason. I'm gonna fuck this guy's name up. Mantazukas.
Right. Who
I've only ever seen played annoying characters, and even he gets moments where you're like, oh, actually, he's not that bad.
Yeah.
So they do a very good job of kind of rounding out most of the characters. So yeah, I would really, because I don't want to spoil anything, because there are some genuine moments where you're like, oh fuck, okay, that explains that, and there's some really nice ideas in it. How faithful to the comic it is, I don't know. I think from what I can gather, pretty faithful. So, I would really recommend it if you want a nice animated superhero thing that's pretty brutal and with a really good voice cast. Yeah, full on, go for it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's on my radar. Like I said, I watched one episode. I thought it looked pretty good, so I will watch it. I will watch it at some point. Did you want to go straight into Jupiter's Legacy? Because I feel like these two kind of work well together, and it would be interesting to compare the two, I guess. So I've not watched that either, but if you're,
Right, so Jupiter's Legacy is, it's another graphic novel. This one I do know I haven't read it, but I do know that it changes some of the focus. So I think in the comic, it mostly focuses on the children.
Right.
And this one actually sort of splits between them, and I think it's got a lot more of the adults, as it were. I say adults, I mean. So basically, in this world, it's another world where obviously superheroes exist.
Yes.
And in this one, there is a group of there's like their version of the Justice League with their version of Superman, and they got their powers in the 30s, and they've been doing this for a long time, and they've got their superhero code. They don't kill people. They the full on old fashioned Justice League sort of code.
Yeah.
And you've got the young sort of their children who are having trouble with this because villains are getting more brutal. Villains are taking out superheroes instead of just fighting them, and it's modern crime, so it's just more brutal, and it's more horrible stuff happening. And Brandon, who is the son of the Utopian, he is having trouble, kind of living up to his father's
legacy.
Mm-hmm. And kind of all of the kids are all having that sort of they're all from they're all from this era. Their parents are from the 30s, so there's a real big sort of gap between disconnect to the modern world and where they are. And the Utopian's really sort of hard on him, and it's kind of. So do I spoil a bit? I will. Okay,
I'll leave that up to you.
I'll spoil a little. So, they're fighting this. So there's this real big bad guy who is in prison. They captured him at one point. He's this real Black Star, I think he's called. He is in prison, and they get this sort of thing saying, "Oh, Black Star has escaped. He's doing all this stuff." So they go to fight him, and this Black Star completely fucking obliterates them.
Right.
He kills at least 2 or 3 of the young superheroes, and the son of the Utopian, he's got the bad guy's got the Utopian on the floor,
mm-hmm.
and it looks like he's about to go nuclear. So he's about to take them all out by going nuclear, right? So Brandon basically makes the decision he's going to take him out, whatever the cost.
Okay.
So he literally kills him. He basically takes the top of his head off, saves them all.
Right.
And that's basically it's the do the ends justify the means, because he clearly saved them all. He was about to go nuclear and probably take them all out, including the Utopian.
Yeah, sure.
So there's that sort of, is it, do they change their code? Do they? And the Utopian is like, no. This is how we've always done it. This is how it should be. So you get that sort of, all the way through. And what really did it for me on this show is the 30 set stuff.
Oh, right.
So from what I can gather in the comic, the stuff with how they got their powers and stuff is very short. It's not. They don't go into a lot of detail in the comic.
Okay.
You only get brief paragraphs, I think, of what they did and what they were like. Whereas I think in this they've actually concentrated more on actually how they got there, and so like the Utopian and his brother who becomes Brainwave, they are the sons of this guy who's a steel magnate. So they own most of the fucking buildings in New York were put up by his company.
Yeah, okay.
They're all the steel in these buildings were all owned by his company, and obviously because I think it's the 30s are happening, and the crash is on its way.
Sure.
So the crash happenings, things take a turn for the worst, sort of thing, and you get Josh Duhamel, who I actually like. I don't think Josh Duhamel's really been given the sort of the roles that he should have got, because he's good in Transformers, but he shouldn't be in Transformers anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's got, he something. I won't want to spoil any of that, but there is a sort of like a vision thing, and he wants to get a group together, sort of thing, to go to this, to find this thing.
Sure.
And like I said, I'm not one, but for me, the 30 stuff I thought was brilliant. I really love the 30 stuff. So to the point where when they do, like in the episode where they get to the modern bit, and it's like, oh god, no, stop the whiny teenager stuff. Go back to the 30s, because that's way more interesting. So I think for me, that's why this one gets a little bit more interest than, say, The Boys.
Sure.
Because it's at least doing something a little different. There's a lot more. It's got that sort of nice historical angle, which really because it's like kind of like not even Justice League. They're like the Justice Society. So they're the old guys. You know what I mean? They're the proper old, like, Wildcat and Dr. Fate and all those sort of guys, like the old Sandman. That sort of team. The original Flash, so they're more like those than, so they got that 30s angle. And it is quite brutal at times, not to the same degree as The Boys or Invincible, but it certainly has its moments. And most of the cast is quite nice. Leslie Bibb as this sort of like she's kind of like the Wonder Woman type character. She's quite good because she's beginning to question, because she's married to the Utopian. So in this, like, Wonder Woman and Superman are kind of like they're married. So their kids, they have two kids. One of them is obviously he's trying to live up to the Utopian. He's a superhero in his own right. Whereas the daughter Chloe, she is like this supermodel. So she's like spends most of her time coked up and like going to parties and like falling out with her family, and so even that is like it's a little tired at times, and it does get a bit annoying. It's actually not bad, because there's a deeper mystery with the kids, that like one of them is the son of one of the superheroes who went rogue and turned against them. So one of the originals became a bad guy, and he's disappeared, and you don't know where he's gone, and that his son is kind of trying to find him, and he's kind of a criminal, and it's I really liked it. I thought it was really, really good. It was
good.
Really enjoyable. Again, not as good as The Boys
or Invincible, but fun anyway.
Or Invincible, but yeah, I really enjoyed
timing it. That both of these got released, because they're both on Netflix, right? Or is one might be Amazon?
No, Legacy's Netflix, Invincible is Amazon.
Okay, that probably explains it. It's like tit for tat.
So yeah, I mean, I as a fan of like 30s adventure stuff anyway.
Yeah.
The 30 stuff really, tipped the balance for me. I think if your tolerance for 30 stuff isn't, there, if you want more of the whiny teenager stuff, maybe not for you. But I think it was okay. I really liked it. More than okay. I really enjoyed it. I think it was. I would really recommend it if you want another. I mean, like we've said before, we are beginning to get a bit superheroed out.
Well, I am anyway, and now I'm starting to get the superhero commentary is starting to really drag as well for me. It's like there's so much of it now. It's like, come on.
It is, but I would say,
but if it's good, it's good. At the end of the day,
I would say it's good enough to keep your attention, and there's nice enough mysteries. I mean, there is one sort of thing that is obvious. There's one sort of thing that you go, oh, okay, really, you're doing that, right? Fine,
right.
I saw it. You see something coming a mile off. You really do. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. But I think if it's a nice enough series, it's a pretty good superhero show. So yeah, give it a go.
I will do that. I will certainly do that. Well, I have. I know you haven't watched it, so I won't do any spoilers. But I have watched Castlevania season 4, and it's. Bloody wonderful, as I'm happy to report, because I know we're both big fans of the series. I personally felt like the series was getting better and better. Like, I thought the second season was better than the first season. I thought the third season was better than the second season. It's got better and better. I wouldn't say necessarily that this season is better than the third season, but
I think that there was stuff in the third season that didn't do it for me.
I really liked. I think I just liked how utterly dark and miserable the third season went. Like, that's what I really liked about it, was just how dark it got in places.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So I think you might actually prefer this season then, because this season has a much more of a season 2 feel, I think.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that overall,
we're talking like all of it's great.
This series is fucking great.
Yeah.
My only issue with season 3 was the a la carte stuff with the twins.
Oh, okay.
That stuff for me was like, okay, can we just get over this bit, because this is getting on my nerves. I was kind of done with that, but everything else in that series was great. I mean, I loved the Carmella and those
Saint Germain and stuff as well. I thought it was
brilliant, really, really good. And is it Isaac?
Yeah, Isaac. And Hector are the two Forge Masters.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Forge Masters are great.
Yeah.
And is it Hector the one that the Carmella and that has got?
Yes.
What they do to him is horrible.
Horrendous.
I mean, let's face it, he's not a great guy anyway, but it's it's really horrible and really good, really well done.
Yeah. So season 4 continues on, pretty much directly from season 3, and it brings everything to a conclusion. I feel they could do more, but it really is the kind of ending of this story. And and I think it does justice to all the characters. I really do. I really can't fault the way this series dealt with any character. I was happy with the ending for every single one of the characters. Basically, this season kind of follows around. It follows each group as it did in season 3. So you've got obviously Trevor is. They're still hunting. They're still going out and hunting and doing what they do. But as they go along, him and Cypher discover that there's a group of people trying to resurrect Dracula. So that's kind of one of the humorous moments in the trailer.
The trailer was brilliant.
Yeah. So they basically just discover that, and they're sort of going about trying to stop them bringing back Dracula. But the what they're planning to do and what the plan is for Dracula is not what you would necessarily think. Because I was a little concerned about that. I was like, are you just going to bring Dracula back? Like, what's the point at this point?
Yeah.
But there's a very good reason for it, and I thought it was well explained, and I liked that it wasn't just going to be, it's just Dracula back and he's back now. It's a really cool story that I don't want to spoil, so I won't go into details as to what's going on there. There's stuff going on behind the scenes, and it all kind of comes together in this season. Even stuff that happened in season 3, like with Saint Germain. And always nice to hear Bill Nye. Always. Just happy to hear him all the time.
Well, again, this is another cartoon that's got
the cast is unbelievably good. We get more to see with him, and we see a lot of what happened in season 3 paying off here. Like you said with the twins, you weren't keen on that storyline, but that kind of informs season 4, where we pick up with Alucard living on his own, kind of hating the world, when basically a village comes to him for aid. So this guy basically is dead on horseback when he arrives at the castle, holding a note just saying, look, we're being attacked by night creatures, please help us. And it's kind of Alucard's kind of reintegration into society as kind of a hero for them, and then basically ultimately almost like a village leader. He becomes like a leader of this group.
Oh, cool.
It's really cool. And then obviously you've got the Isaac stuff going on still with, what's his name? Hector. You've got Hector and Isaac still going on, and I think it does those two characters absolute justice. I honestly can't say enough. Carmella, wonderful in this. Great. I don't want to spoil it, so I can't talk about it, but other than to say it's all great.
Jamie Murray is one of those actresses who She also, I mean, she was in a remake of Fright Night.
Oh, right.
Which was terrible.
No, I've not seen it.
But she was really good in it, and she's very good at this sort of like deliciously evil characters.
My God, she is so good.
Her she is so good as Carmella. Yeah. She really is. It's like she's almost like sexy death incarnate, isn't she? She's like,
which is what Carmella kind of was, so it works. Yeah. She's fantastic. The whole cast are fantastic. I thought the story was great, and I was really I finished this season yesterday, and I finished it with, like, I was absolutely happy. I was absolutely satisfied, and I thought, if we're not getting any more, this is perfect. You've tied everything up. Yeah. It ties everything off nicely. Every single character, even down to Dracula, I was really happy with the end of the story. I thought it was great. Apparently, they are going to do another Castlevania series in the Castlevania universe, but it's not going to be directly tied to any of this. So it is.
Well, as long as if it's done by the same people,
I believe it is. Yeah.
That I'm all for that.
But honestly, this was one of the best animated series I have watched in like a decade, maybe two. Like I'm not a big fan of modern anime. This was fucking brilliant, and I'm so happy. I'm a big fan, as I've said before on the show, because I had this argument with Star Wars and stuff. I'm a big fan of a story ending. Like, if it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Star Wars for me, Return of the Jedi, perfect ending.
It's always been the thing that the Japanese do better than the Americans.
They just know to end something. We'll end it, and it's ended. And if this is the end, I mean, by all means, you've got this universe. Go do more in the universe. Absolutely, I want to see more.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is you can do other generations, you know. You can
absolutely,
you can set it later, you can set it earlier.
Well, and like you said, the only constant really would be Alucard at this point, and maybe a few of the other vampires if you chose to involve them. But yeah, a tremendous series, and I'm really glad and happy that they got the ending it deserved, and it was a joy, an absolute joy, this series. So
yeah, I haven't had a chance to start it yet.
Once you started it, I guess we can have a proper discussion about it in a couple of weeks. That'd be good. But yeah, for now, all I can say is it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm excited to hear what you think of it.
Yeah, I'm it's right there, ready to go. I'm totally
ready to pull the trigger.
Ready to pull the trigger on that one, because I as I said, that it's a fucking great series. It really is. It's fantastic.
It's absolutely amazing. So, well, do you want to? You've got another movie, and then we'll do the movie that we've both watched after that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So I will. So it's Homunculus.
Yes.
So this again, it's another one that's based on a comic.
Is it? Okay, I didn't know that.
It is. Yeah, it's based on a manga, and it's by the guy who wrote Ichi the Killer. So that tells you something.
Yes.
And the director is Takeshi Shimizu, who previously did Ju-On and The Grudge, and those ones. So he's a good director. Yeah. So this you've got this starts off with this guy called Nakoshi, who is living in his car, and he lives in this car on a road between this park on one side, which has got all these homeless people living in it,
and they're really wealthy, isn't it?
And yes, and the opposite side of the road is the biggest, brightest, like most expensive hotel sort of thing in Tokyo. Yeah. And even though he's homeless, he's got money. He's got a black credit card. He goes and eats in the hotel.
Right.
So it's almost like he doesn't know exactly who he is. He seems to have memory problems, but he doesn't really care. It's like it's almost like he's yeah, it feels like he's chosen to give up. So even though he talks to the other homeless people, he eats with them and things, but he doesn't really consider himself part of them, because he stays in his car, and he is approached by this very strange and over the top young man called Ito, who is a medical student.
Right.
And he says to him,
"Oh, is this the guy in the clip on because I almost watched this movie. He's the weird guy that approaches him in the car. He's very strange.
He's brilliant. Yeah. So he says, I will give you, I can't remember the money. It's like 70,000 yen for me to Japan you."
Mm.
And like at first it's like, fuck that shit. Why would I want to do that? I guess like, because I'm studying ESP and all these sort of things, and I think you're the you'd be a good candidate for it. I want to, it'll open your mind and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And then his car gets towed.
Yeah. So he's effectively homeless now.
Yes. So he goes to he needs the sort of money to get his car back, sort of thing. So he goes to see the kiddie, and the kid does the operation, and subsequently, whenever he covers his right eye and looks at people with his left, he basically sees their inner trauma or their inner
which
they
in the trailer it kind of looks almost it's almost kind of it's weird and almost kind of humorous in ways, and I'm guessing that it's fucking dark surreal by the end though.
It is, yes. It's very if you've seen a sort of similar Japanese sort of things before, then
I kind of guessed where it was probably going to end up.
I mean, this movie is not going to be for everyone.
No.
It is fucking, it's an odd fucking movie. It is very weird, and so he basically starts seeing these things, and the kid Ito explains that it's people's homunculuses. Their homunculuses are, it's kind of like they kind of live within you, and they're like they're like the manifestation of your neuroses and your damage and all that sort of stuff. And he basically he accidentally bumps into this Yakuza boss who like goes to sort of take his finger off, but he sees this guy's trauma. He sees him as a robot. He sees him as this giant robot.
Right.
And he sort of kind of helps him. And then there's this girl that he sees who's like, she's made of sand.
Right.
And in a very weird and creepy way, he kind of helps her too. So the first sort of half of it, it's like he's seeing these things, and he's kind of finding himself as well. And you get the impression that Ito knows who he is known who he is all along. There's something sort of going on with what's there. And come the end, the second half moves to more to do with him and his relationship with this woman.
Right.
And like I said, I'm really not going to spoil this movie at all. But there's obviously there's someone he meets, and they have some kind of connection.
Sure.
And I'm not going to go into the story because I don't want to spoil anything. I really like this movie. I thought it was really nice and really strange and really well done. And there's some great shots. There's like the opening shot, like looking through the head as the drill comes in, sort of thing, and then seeing like an eye, like peering down at you. Those shots are fantastic. There's some really great, like little weird sort of like manifestations of what people like the woman with a giant baby at the top of her head, and like people made out of chains and stuff, and like weird sort of stuff like that. All that stuff is really, really good. From what I've read because I've not read the graphic novel, the anime, sorry, the manga. They changed the characters around.
Okay.
I think in the original, again, I don't want to spoil it too much because it'll also inform the movie.
Sure.
But in the from what I can gather, the character in the manga is much more of a villain. He's a real prick.
Okay.
So the main character in the manga is an absolute asshole.
Yeah, because he seems quite likable in the trailer.
Yeah, they've made him more of a hero in this, which I think really pissed a lot of people off.
Okay.
So it's got a lot. this movie has got a lot of hate from the
fans of the
people who have read
Sure.
the manga, which, you know, we've both read comics and seen
Sure.
things.
Yeah, I understand.
So I completely understand that. Not having read that, and I'm sure if I do want to read it now. Now I've seen this, I want to read the original because it fascinated me. Because I haven't, I think I just went with it, and it was fine for me. I think that the performances are weird because I think they have to be.
Sure.
Because these are characters that, especially the main guy, Go Ayano is the actor. I thought he was really good as this sort of like massively damaged guy who is just sort of kind of living this weird limbo life. And the guy playing Ito is completely over the top, weird sort of like Ryo Narita. He's great as well. The really good performances, I thought. I think a lot of the other reviews I've read are saying that they were terrible and stilted, and I think they were choices.
Sure.
They were that way because that's what the story demanded. So, and I think the performances were really, really good. It is a really, really weird movie. It is a really, really well done weird movie, and I really enjoyed it. By the end of it, I was totally like, there's some sort of cliche moments where you're like, okay, I kind of saw this coming, but I'm actually happy with the way it went. I think it worked for what it's. There's a couple of bits where it's like, okay, that I think they could have explained that a little better.
Sure.
But I guess I just sort of thought, well, okay, I understand it, and I'm going to interpret it how I interpret it, which may not be the way you do. So, you know, I think it does require a little bit of thought on your own. If you want to watch a movie and switch your brain off,
yeah,
then this isn't the movie for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this just really is not the movie for you. But if you want to watch something that's like weird and different, and I say this to all these weird movies.
Yeah.
But if you want to see something that's really interesting, and
I know what you mean though, and you've got to be in the right mood for this kind of thing as well.
Yeah, completely. I think it's not something that you just turn on and have on in the background.
No, and that's the main reason I didn't watch it this week, because I was really busy this week, and I was just like, I saw the trailer, I was like, do you know what, I think I'm going to like that when I'm in the right mood for it. It's just not right now. So, you know, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it handles the sort of like the idea of the sort of people's trauma quite well. I thought anyway. So yeah, I would highly recommend it as a very odd, curious movie.
Yeah.
Totally on board.
Ah, cool. Well, that's good to know. I will definitely be giving that a watch at some point, like I said. So that brings us nicely on to the last movie that we've both seen. Unfortunately, I've forgotten most of it already. But that is, of course, Without Remorse, which is the Tom Clancy, or very, very loosely, I gather, based on Tom Clancy. Directed by Stefano Sollima, and starring Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Bell. Mm-hmm. So, as you were just saying, with Homunculus, I gather this film has barely anything to do with the book that this is based on. Yeah, it's like Tom Clancy in name only, apparently.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I did read a synopsis, and it's like, well, this is nothing like what they've done with this movie.
Now, I remember John Kelly being played by Willem Dafoe and a few other people before.
And Liev Schreiber
in
well.
that was a good one actually. Sum of All Fears, isn't it? Liev Schreiber. I've seen it played by a couple of people before. Obviously, this is the first one with Michael B. Jordan. And I would say honestly, like Michael B. Jordan might be like one of the few good things in this movie. Like
Michael B. Jordan is the only character.
It's like everything else is kind of a mess.
Movie that is actually like has a character.
Yes, and I am biased because I really like Michael B. Jordan anyway, but I do think
I do.
He was,
but even he even he's rubbish in this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He has a character.
He's doing the best he can with what he's been given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie Bell, who again is a great actor. What the fuck is he doing?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he's not even. He's over the top, but not even in a good fun chewing the scenery over the top.
This film takes itself very seriously. Like for
God,
how silly it is, it's like, whoa, okay.
But it's full of people that are just reading, like saying their dialogue, like they're reading the ingredients off the back of a cereal packet.
Yeah, they kind of are. Yeah.
There is no sort of like life or like, but it's like I don't for a minute believe any of these people are real people.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
And they all look like they're bored. They all look like this was such a chore to do.
Yeah. So it's basically obviously John Kelly is a member of the SEALs team. Mm-hmm. He's like senior chief of this SEALs team, and we see at the opening this kind of mission gone bad, and they weren't informed of how, of certain things that were supposed to go down in this mission. They weren't expecting Russians to be there, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yes. They basically, I can't remember what it is they're told they are, but when they get there, there's like Russian.
I think it was meant to be a hostage thing, and they get there, and it's clearly not.
They go to rescue a hostage, and it's supposed to be some sort of either terrorist group or so, but it turns out to be Russians, and they're like, "What the fuck? Like, you didn't tell us it was Russian." And Jamie Bell, who is the sort of the CIA
asshole
handler type guy, he's there, and he's like, he full on like is like smugly going, "You fuckers didn't need to know. I'm not fucking telling you."
And he's
shit.
literally telling, John Kelly this to his face after Kelly's like literally like, "I just lost 2 men in there," who he's obviously close to and he's very upset about. And Jamie Bell's just like, fuck you, I don't care. Like, it's like,
and they do that thing that I hate that they do with characters with John Kelly as well. Is there's a bit where they're all suiting up, and it's like, oh, he's a badass. Someone literally pretty much say that. They look at him and they're like, wow, he's a badass. Literally calls him the badass, and you're like, oh god, really? I mean, for fuck's sake. Oh, have you ever been around soldiers? Like,
yeah, like totally, like yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of bravado with soldiers, and there's a lot of that sort of, banter and stuff. But this just feels like 12-year-olds.
It's the kind of thing that, like, the like braggadocious asshole character of the team would say about himself. And it's really awkward when these other people are like, "Oh wow, he's the badass." It's like, oh god, like you're trying really hard to make us believe, in Michael B. Jordan being this fucking amazing guy. And the thing is, it's like he doesn't need that. Like Michael B. Jordan is built like a fucking tank. He's in ridiculous shape. And exactly. He looks legit.
To be honest, all you needed to have him do was literally walk into the room. It's like, well, he's a badass. Fine.
Yeah,
okay.
Fine. Yeah.
You didn't need to sort of tell us that he's a badass. It was fine.
Yeah. But what kind of subsequently follows is it's a a murder revenge story. Basically, the hits put out on his SEAL team, the team that were involved in this op. Suddenly are getting targeted. He gets targeted but survives, but his family are murdered.
Yes.
So then it's basically him kind of going after them, and kind of continuing to be involved when he probably should just be in jail or ends up in jail in times. And there are some scenes that I quite liked. Do
you know what's again kind of like in it with Mortal Kombat, but this doesn't hold up. Is there are some scenes that are like really well done. There's the scene in the cell.
Yes, that was great.
The reason it doesn't hold up is because it just has the same beats as other ones.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
yeah.
And it doesn't do enough to do it. There's a whole scene on a jet. Yeah. Right, which should be the most dramatic, like nail-biting scene you've ever seen, because it's not even that it's badly done, it's just boring.
The scene I thought was most effective was the car fire scene. That was the one scene where I was like, oh, that was awesome. That was like a really badass scene.
Actually had some nice tension to
yes.
it. That actually did feel like they And the scene. There's a big shootout in this building. I mean, I don't want to spoil. I mean, even though I think this movie's fucking awful, I don't want to spoil it too much.
No.
But there's a even the big shootout was like dull.
Yeah.
It just felt, it's like, I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was the director's fault exactly, because it certainly feels like that, and I don't understand that, because the guys, he directed like Gamora and Sicario too, so he's a proven director.
Yeah. It almost feels like he doesn't know how to shoot action a lot of the time. Weirdly,
yes.
It just doesn't come across very well. It almost feels like they needed a better action coordinator or something. I can't really explain it, but I think the worst crime that this film did for me is that I watched it, I think, last Thursday, and I literally couldn't tell you a thing about it until before we started this stream. I went onto the Wikipedia page to kind of read up and be like, what happened? Because I honestly couldn't remember much about it at all. I remembered the prison scene, I remembered the car fire, and I remembered the I'm going to sacrifice myself ending that obviously is, a red herring.
Yes.
That I remembered. Other than that...
Again, that should have been...
a really traumatic moment, but I didn't care when it came around.
We should have been on the edge of our seats
absolutely.
in that scene. It should have.
It fell flat every time.
For a moment, did I actually think, he might die here?
No way, not for a moment. And that's why I kind of said it. It's not even a spoiler, because it's really obvious he's not going to fucking die. There's never a doubt.
I mean, a Guy Pearce obviously is playing the secretary. Even Guy Pearce looks fucking bored.
Yeah.
And Guy Pearce is a great actor. He just, like, what are you doing, Guy Pearce? Like, was this like did you have like 5 minutes spare in the morning or something, and you just walked in, said the lines, and walked out or something? It was, and the overall, I mean, again, I'm not going to spoil it, but the overall storyline, if you don't see it coming a mile off when it happens, it's like, then you either haven't seen enough movies, or you're just very naive.
I agree,
because it's so obvious what's going on that, when he, like, I think it got to the point where I was like, maybe they will do something else. Maybe it won't be that, and it's like, no, it is that, and it's really bad. Yeah, it was really, really bad. I mean, oh god. I mean, like you said, Michael B. Jordan. He's a good actor.
It's tremendous.
And he does feel like the only one actually trying.
I agree.
I will give him that.
Yeah.
He does feel like the only one that's giving it a bit of soul. But it's like, have you seen the John Krasinski Amazon series?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. The Jack Ryan series.
The Jack Ryan series is
apparently great.
Fucking great. That is a series that has fucking tension. It has real, like, believable characters.
Well, let's hope. I mean, that would.
Genuinely feel like he's gonna die.
Is Jack Kelly? Is Jack Kelly in that series?
I honestly don't remember. Actually,
I mean, I guess they could introduce him at some point if they wanted to.
I think
because it's very odd. Because obviously Amazon produced that
series,
that
as well.
Jack Ryan series. Now this series, this isn't theirs. This is I think it's Universal or someone. Let me just have a look. Oh, it's Paramount. It's a Paramount movie.
I think they bought it off them, didn't they? I think so. Yeah.
It's a bit odd, because to me, I'd be like, well, we've got our own universe here of our Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan stuff, and we might want to do our version of John Kelly, and I don't really know why. I guess it's just a big name during a pandemic, and they were like, oh well, we'll have a Michael B. Jordan movie. That's great. But
I do know that the Jodie Turner-Smith character, his boss, she, I think, is supposed to be the daughter of Wendell Pierce's character from the Jack Ryan series.
Yeah, but because I don't think these series are tied at all.
Not specifically that character, but that character, but not specifically that version of that.
No, because this is totally different. Unless they decide to bring them together at some point, this is completely separate.
Yeah.
And of course, the end of this movie hints that we're going to get more. With Rainbow, I guess he's joining Rainbow Six, or
he's going to make Rainbow Six. Yeah, which is what obviously what that character does.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's what he's kind of known for. Yeah.
Yeah, he changes identity sort of thing and
Now, I mean, I've not read any of it. But I have played the Rainbow Six game, so I'm aware of.
Yeah, I've Rainbow Six, and I've probably seen most of the adaptions.
Yeah, I've seen most of the adaptions because they are good films generally. Most of the adaptions, they're enjoyable. Now, I think with this, I could totally understand, and the same with Jupiter's Legacy. Homunculus, you were saying that, they've changed it from the source material, so I totally understand why people are pissed off. I think it's the same here. I could totally understand why people would be pissed off because of the source material change.
Oh, yeah.
But as two people here who have not read the source material, this is still not a good movie. It's just not a good movie.
No, it's really
not. If it was a good movie and it was completely different from the source material, I'd be here like, well, I understand why people don't like it, but it's a good movie if you've never read the source material. That's not the case here. I didn't think it was a very good movie.
It's a terrible movie. It's genuinely a terrible movie.
Michael B. Jordan is wasted here.
Obviously, not the worst thing I've ever seen.
No. Manos still exists. I mean,
yeah, but it's just not good.
Yeah,
and not enjoyable. I mean,
I was switched off for most of it, if I'm honest.
I literally checked the time like five times during this movie.
Yeah,
and it's not a fucking short movie either. It's an hour, like 50 minutes. It's nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, hour and 9 minutes. It's 109 minutes. Sorry. Yeah, so it's a long movie. It's a long
sit.
It
does not fly by.
It doesn't.
It does not fly by. It really doesn't. No. I mean, it's got. Oh Christ! It's like you're introduced to new characters like halfway through, like his team. And all of those, like...
Well, again, it's setting up a sequel, isn't it? It's like they're set up for...
People.
Yeah.
It just was not good. Really, really, really wasn't. I honestly, I don't think I can recommend any of this at all.
I wouldn't recommend watching this one. Like, honestly, watching it on Amazon, I already have an Amazon subscription.
I think,
and I felt like I just wasted my time. Really, I would have.
It's gonna do relatively well, I think, because at the moment,
sure, it's a Michael B. Jordan movie. It'll do well.
Michael B. Jordan. There's not much around at the moment.
Well,
and
I would.
It's on Amazon,
yes.
So a lot of people are going to watch it. So I think it's probably going to get a sequel.
Well,
but I don't know whether I'd watch it.
I would honestly say that if it wasn't for me doing this show, and it being pretty slim pickings for movies last week, and I just needed something to watch, I would have probably switched this off before I got to the end. If it wasn't for the fact I was doing this movie show and talking about it, I was like, well, I have to review. I might as well watch it now to review it. But it lost me by the halfway mark, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
not great.
I would agree with that. I did get to the point where I did think I'm just going to turn this off and not review it.
Like Mortal Kombat, shite movie, but it was fun. I had fun. The time passed quickly. I enjoyed the fights. It kept me entertained.
It didn't drag, except only the middle bit.
Yeah, a little bit in the middle.
The training dragged a little, but that wasn't. It wasn't a great deal.
No.
And like I said, it was fun, and it was good fight scenes. This was just fucking.
This was a real mess. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one at all, I'm afraid. But there we go. Is there anything else you want to talk about? That's pretty much us for movies and series.
That's it for the movies and series. I think there was a few bits and pieces. We should mention Olympia Dukakis, who died this week, or last week I should say, I think. Who was a fantastic actress. She was 89. She was in Moonstruck, which is what she got her Oscar for. Great, Mighty Aphrodite, really, really great sort of matriarch actor. Really great sort of fantastic actress who was in things like Tales from the City, which was a great series.
Yeah,
really, really great actor. So she will be sadly missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have cast Red Sonja.
Have they really?
They have. So, they have cast Hannah John Kamen.
Not familiar.
Right. So she was in she played Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
She was in this series where she played this bounty hunter. She was also in Ready Player One.
Okay.
So
she's been in a few things, but
yeah, my problem with this is I don't think she's a terribly good actress.
Okay.
And
I've certainly seen all of those movies, and I don't recall her very well.
Buy her as a badass.
Okay.
I do not. She was in this sci-fi series where she was supposed to be a bounty hunter, and she was supposed to be this real like super badass character, and she just did not come across as a badass at all. I did not find her remotely believable, and I don't know. Maybe if she bulks up,
yeah, sure,
she'll be fine. But I'm sure they could have found someone who was a lot more.
So is this her first starring role? Like as the like protagonist main, you know.
I guess so.
Okay.
I mean, that series, she was the main star, really. So, I guess probably her first. I presume it's going to be a pretty big budget.
I would have thought so. I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, again,
for the record, I would love a Red Sonja movie done well.
Yes, totally.
Just put that out there.
I think that's. And I love
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for the original as well.
It's not a great movie at all, but I bloody love Red Sonja.
We haven't got the rights to Conan, but this guy's basically Conan.
Yeah.
Totally. Arnold, play the same character, but we'll just give you a different name, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, we'll put more clothes on you.
Yeah.
And
I always remember that fucking kid is so irritating in that movie.
Oh god, he's really annoying. Yeah. But my favourite character, and that is the bad guy. I love Queen Gedron.
Yes.
I had a D&D character that was basically Queen
amazing.
Gedron. So I've got a lot of love for that movie, even though it's not terribly good.
No.
I mean, she might surprise. She might bulk up, and she might actually be a bit more physically imposing as Sonja. I don't know, but I'm not impressed with the choice so far.
No.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just one that amuses me. So they, I think it's Sky. Pretty sure it's Sky. Are doing Sky is doing an adaptation of The Amazing Maurice, which is a Pratchett book.
Okay.
Which is about a talking cat and his talking mice,
right?
Who are like con men. They like play the Pied Piper trick in towns,
right?
To get money, and so it's a Discworld book, but it's a sort of a children's Discworld book, and I love this book mainly because he's called Maurice, and when I read the book. Yeah, one of my favourite all-time actors is Michael Caine.
Sure.
And his real name is Maurice Micklewhite.
And
when I was reading this book, Maurice's voice was just Michael Caine's voice in my head.
Yeah.
But the whole book, and we're not getting that. We're getting Rob Brydon and David Tennant and Emilia Clarke and Hugh Laurie. So really good. Like,
sounds like a solid cast.
Hugh Bonneville, Gemma Arterton. So it's getting a great cast, and it's a really sweet book. I really enjoyed Maurice and his amazing educated rodents. It's really fun, and I think it's going to be an animated. So it's good. That's. I'm really hopeful for this. This also, unlike that fucking Watch series that I think is not out yet. It's coming up though. This one is actually. Endorsed by the Pratchett estate.
Oh, okay.
So it at least has the Pratchett estate's blessing, whereas the other one was that Watch looks fucking awful.
Yeah.
I will give a shout out to a trailer I saw, which is it's for a documentary, which we don't often do, and it's. Edgar Wright made it, and it is about the band Sparks.
Oh, cool!
So it's called the Sparks Brothers. The trailer looks fantastic because they've got almost every like. There's Flea and there's Weird Al and there's Beck and Jason Schwartzman, and there's all these amazing people in this, like all that are all fans of Sparks.
Yeah.
Sparks are, if you don't know, are one of these amazing bands that have never really fit into any category.
No.
Because they're like they've influenced so many other, as like, if there's probably one band that you love that they've probably influenced.
Yeah.
And that they're a great weird little, like, Ron and his brother are just weird eccentrics that make the most amazing weird music that I've always loved. So I am totally on board for watching that. It's called the Sparks Brothers. That I thought looked fantastic. Cronenberg's new one, which I'm, again, love Cronenberg.
Absolutely.
Called Crimes of the Future. It's just acquired Kristen Stewart, Viggo Mortensen again, who's previously worked with him on, I think, 2, maybe 3 movies now. Léa Seydoux. So this is gonna. It is. He previously did a thing called Crimes of the Future. Now, I've never seen this one.
No.
It's one of the ones that I've not seen. It's one of his very early ones, and I think it might be linked to that as well. So this takes the idea that people have started there's a thing called accelerated evolution syndrome.
Okay.
So people are using altering their biological makeup. They're like growing new organs and things, and there's a guy who's growing new organs, and then he's like putting on shows with these like showing what these organs are and what they are doing, and it's how transhumanism is going to be either policed, or whether it's going to be free to do for everyone, and all that sort of stuff. So it sounds like Cronenberg going back to his weird sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, which I'm all about.
Which he hasn't done for a while. He's even though, like, his movies, his later movies have got odd elements to them, they've been quite I guess grounded compared to a lot of his earlier stuff. So again, this sounds like it's got more of an Existence Videodrome feel to it.
Yeah.
People like reaching into themselves and pulling out new organs and stuff. Sounds
great.
Sounds batshit crazy. Totally on board.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. And I think we've got news of another Romero Dead movie.
Yes. So post
Twilight of the Dead.
I mean, how many years removed now? He's probably like 5 years dead now, isn't he? Maybe more.
2017.
So I think his daughter's gonna get it finished, right? Which is fine. I wasn't a big fan of his last couple of Dead movies, so I'm not terribly sure this will be very good, but I will certainly give it a watch. Obviously, John Romero is, absolutely a legend and made some of the best, horror movies of all time.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big fan of his later Dead movies, but that aside, I will certainly give it a watch.
I think it's his wife, Suzanne.
It's his wife, sorry. So I'm interested to see it for sure. I'll definitely give it a watch. So,
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it fares with the new Dead one that's going to be on Netflix this week. I think it comes out, doesn't it?
Oh, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
Zack Snyder's
Friday,
Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see, how those hold up against each other.
Yes. Well, I would like to think that Romero's would be a bit more thoughtful and a bit more kind of, considered.
Yeah, but you'd like to say that, but then his last ones weren't.
No. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
Again, like you said, I'm kind of on board just to see, what they do with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that he's not, obviously he can't do it.
No.
Kind of makes me a little less inclined to watch it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it, really. There's,
Wonderful. Well, what are we going to watch next time? Have you got any thoughts already?
I have a couple of ideas.
Go on.
Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, why not?
I was thinking Manhunter.
Okay.
Or Big Trouble.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, these are both great, so I'm going to struggle to choose between those. But I mean,
or The Commitments.
Oh yes, you did talk about doing The Commitments.
Now The Commitments, I think, is going to be one of the harder ones to do. Yeah. So I'm okay if you're not.
Maybe we'll do one of the.
I think I love that movie more than you do.
Yes, for sure. But I'm happy to do it at some point. Oh, that's a difficult one. I am tempted to do Big Trouble. That feels like an obvious movie we should have done already, and we haven't.
Well, I think we did it on the movie show.
Oh yeah, sure. But I mean, we
did it on the radio.
Our
but
in-depth kind of,
yeah,
going through the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should do Big Trouble next, and then Manhunter after, because I do want to do Manhunter. That's a really good call.
Cool, Big Trouble in it is then.
Wonderful. Well, we will be back next week with Big Trouble in Little China. But until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.